What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about Bitcoin today, BTC USD. Hit that like button, you guys. Subscribe if you want to see more content like this, and let's get into it. It is the 10th day of June, and here we are at about 23 hours left in the day, sitting at $110,000. It's miraculous. And before we get too far into the video, I want to say yes, absolutely yes. I was expecting over the past 4 days that we would see prices go down to 95.8K. I was very, very convinced. I want to take a moment just to talk real quick to the people who are talking smack in the comments. Just real quick. You guys got issues, man. You got issues. You want me to admit every time I'm wrong. Every single time I'm wrong, I admit that I'm wrong. I don't run away from it. I don't care. It's not a big deal. It would be a big deal, but if it was a big deal, then that means that every time I'm right would have to be a big deal. And it's not. I never brag about when I'm right. I never give myself a bunch of shit when I'm wrong. But when I'm right, I just move on. When I'm wrong, I don't even do this when I'm right. I don't even acknowledge when I'm right half the time or more. You know, like maybe it comes up casually in the conversation, but it's not like a point that I try to make. When I'm wrong, I make it a point to address that I was wrong. Every single time. Right, but you guys want me to address it in every single video? What, I can't address it the day that I was wrong or like the day that I was proven wrong and then we move on from there? Do I have to address it every single time? If you want me to do that, then I would like to address how I was right every single time. Let's address how I was right. Okay, so here I was saying that we were at the low, we'd probably move up a little bit and then move down. My expectation was we would have a little recovery over the weekend, probably a neutral, boring weekend, and then starting this week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday would be down to the downside, 96 to 95K. I remember, that's exactly what I said. I also remember that here, I said we were going to go higher. That here, I said we were going to go higher. That here, I said we were going to go higher. And right about here is when I said we were going to go down. And I maintained that all the way up until today. Okay, so now here we are, where I first said that we were going down, and where I now say that we're probably at our low. And we'll probably pull back a little bit today. I do actually assume that. But I think that we found our low. I think it's established at this point that I was wrong. Okay? But again, if you want me to address that I'm wrong in every single video about the one instance I'm wrong here since April, okay, fine. Okay, I'm sorry, I was. But then can we at least address every single time that I was right? Every single time, even right here, whenever I said we were going lower. Here, actually, here I was wrong too, because I thought that we were going to continue higher. And then right here, I actually said we're going lower, and we did go lower. But now here we are, just a little bit above where I flipped bearish. If you were trading this based off of me saying what I believe the directional heading is, you've caught the majority of this move, which is better than the average market participant can do. I'm in a trading competition right now, okay? I don't have to prove myself, but I'm doing it anyways, for whatever reason. Here we are, 43,000 registered traders in this competition. I'm number 66, and I was number 61 today. I went down a little bit because I was wrong. But guess what? I'm in the top 1% of traders out of 43,000 people, okay? Cut me some slack. I don't care about being right or wrong. You guys care about it a lot more than I do, apparently. But I am making a point out of it because... yeah, I was wrong. And I admit it every single time. I don't hide from it. I'll make videos with titles in it that say I'm wrong. I don't give a shit. It's a fallacy to assume that you will be right every single time. It is a straight fallacy. Find me one analyst on YouTube who's right even 80% of the time, even 70% of the time, right? You're going to be wrong. If you're right 55% of the time, you're winning, right? I don't know what my ratio is. I can tell you one thing, and I'm not trying to brag, but I took my first wrong trade, my first loss today out of this whole competition. It's been 7 days. I've had 7 days in a row of winning trades, back to back to back. I probably made like 30 trades, and only 5 of them were wrong. So whatever that statistic is there, but that's not fair either, because there's times where you have dry streaks, there's time where you have hot streaks. It happens to everybody. And the people who are shouting at the top of their lungs, haha, you're wrong, or well, you never admit when you're wrong, you just make people think that you're always right. I don't do that shit. You guys are emotional. Cut it out. It's if being right or wrong matters to you so much, you're doing it wrong. You really are. You're setting yourself up for some emotional duress, and if you're emotionally duress in this game, man, you're going to lose your ass. You really are. It's not supposed to be an emotional game. If you get emotional, it's like a fight. It literally is like a fight. You're going to get hit. You are. You're going to draw blood. Your blood's going to be drawn from you. But if you want to win, you can't get emotional. You have to be calculated. You have to be reserved. So, anyways, I don't think I've ever done that before. In my near 3 years of having this YouTube channel, I don't think I've ever gone out to say that. But as the channel gets bigger, we're almost at 40,000 subscribers. Thank you all, by the way. Hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't. There's a lot more shitheads. So I feel attacked. I feel like I have to defend myself. But let's move on. I hope I didn't scare anybody away with that. But here we are at $110,000, and I feel somewhat confident. I'm not completely confident. I think that there's still a chance, honestly, that we could go below this low. And I'll go over that. But I would say I'm more confident than I am less confident. I think I'm more confident that we have found the low than I am confident that we go lower now after that day. How could I not be? That was a phenomenal day. But here's one thing that stands out to me a little bit that's kind of odd, is that we had such a lack of volume here on Coinbase. We had such a lack of volume here on Binance. It was about average. But if you look at any of these days, right, a day like this, you go back in time, you look at a day like that, look at how much more volume we had. We had almost double the volume. You look at back over here, we had almost double the volume. Someone in the comments, or a couple people, and they're being helpful. Thank you for the people who are trying to be helpful, who are saying things like, it's because of the ETF volume. This doesn't represent ETF volume. And that's fine. That's a good point. ETF inflows matter. We had ETF inflows on these days, on all these days here. Why was the volume more representative of a move up like this than it is now? I don't know. Is it necessary that we have volume like this for this to be a valid move? No, that's fine. It's about average. It's the most volume we've seen in like 3 or 4 days. And to be completely fair, really, you don't need volume until you're like breaking out of this area. Like, you'd probably want to start seeing volume come in if you were to push higher immediately. And if we look at this on a 4-hour time frame, you had good volume, relatively speaking. Volume pushing you up. It's not like crazy volume. It's not like this stuff over here, but it's decent enough. It's not like completely absent, but that is the one thing. And then just looking at how Bitcoin's performed before, when we had these exact same levels of volume, how quick it just engulfed that whole candle, and then just super volatile back here, right? And we've seen this kind of stuff before, right? You had a nice move up here, 2.4%, about the same amount of volume that you had yesterday. And then you came down over the next few days. You still moved up. And again, I hate this. I really hate doing this because this is not my style. But I was right every single time that we were moving up. Every single time. Didn't falter. You know what I mean? And who cares? And even still, we had this same move down. We could move down here and still move up. And it's fine. We're at $110,000 now. I very much do believe, and as I have believed, even whenever I thought we were going down to 95 to 96K, that our next target, regardless of how it happens, is going to be at about 130 to 140K. I feel like a lot of people in the crypto space now are getting behind the 120, 115K area. I feel like it's obvious now that we're going to go there, obviously, but I don't think that we stop there, man. We look at this from a high to a low here. I mean, you're 1272 at 121K. I mean, just with this kind of consolidation here, I really wouldn't be surprised if we just bypassed that entirely and went right up to 130K to 140K. That's my expectation personally. This is what I think is going to happen here. There is something else that I wanted to go over. Hold on, actually. Let's see. Let's look at the 4-hour time frame and zoom in a little bit. Let's see. How are we doing with this? Because this is not a typical move. Let's just be real. This is really not a typical move, you guys. This is a very strong move. I do have a problem with the volume to a certain degree, but at the same time, that last 4-hour candle, I feel like stepped up. That's enough, I think, to shut down any kind of worries you have of volume. My other concern that I have is that this move, again, it's not typical. What do I mean by that? You didn't find resistance at the 382 and come down to your 236. That's fine. Oftentimes, if you do that, you just run right up to your golden ratio, and that's exactly what you did. But if you go to the golden ratio on the first attempt, you almost always find resistance. It's like 70% of the time you find resistance there, if not like 65% of the time. Whenever you don't do that, whenever you see the 786 or the 886, you're just basically on a nonstop mission up there. Not financial advisor. I'm not saying this is what will happen, but I'm saying this is what could happen. I've seen it happen enough times. When you make moves like this, especially with low volume, which is debatable, maybe we do, maybe we don't, you will get dramatic volatility and pullbacks. If you stop at the 786 and you move down below the golden ratio, the rule of thumb is to go to the 236 or lower, sometimes even going through that low. that when you go up to the 886, which guys, this is insanely bullish. It's insanely bullish. At this point, what happened yesterday, there's nothing else to say about it other than it is insanely bullish. You don't have a move like this if you're weak or if you're faking people out, right? That's not what happened. The 786, maybe. You get up to the 886 nonstop, you don't stop anywhere. Oh, but you stopped here. No, that's not a stop. Right, a stop is like this, like you move up and then you move down. Like that's a stop. We didn't have a single stop since the 5th of June. We just been moving up essentially, which is very bullish, very, and volumes only come in, to be completely fair. But the 886, when you stop here, if you get below the golden ratio, you would have to, it's a two-part rule, okay? If you see a break through the golden ratio on your first attempt, you don't even stop, and you go in the 786, 886 area. If you stop at the 786 and you go below the golden ratio in a very short amount of time, like not a week later, but like that same day or like within the next day, you're very likely to go to the 236 or lower. Okay, very likely to do that. I've seen it happen so many times. I would even pull up examples of it, but I don't know if I have time for that or if I want to do that. Let's just see if we have anything like this. Kind of, that doesn't really work because that's a double attempt there. Anyways, we'll just move on. But just trust when I tell you, I've seen this enough times. I've been doing technical analysis for quite a while. When you go to the 886, I keep alluding to this, instead of the 236, you just move it up one. It's the 382. Sometimes you do find support at the 0.5. But again, only if you break below the golden ratio. So breaking below is different than wicking below. If we come down and we wick below, but we close at the golden ratio and we start to move up, that's good. That's good. We're not going too much. This move is insanely bullish. And again, that adds to the idea that you're not going to stop at 120K. You're just going to move right on up to 130, 140K. Dude, this thing's going to move fast. And that's kind of been the anticipation of this move overall since April 7th, is that this would happen faster than people expected to. And I really wouldn't be surprised if we started getting underway here pretty soon, depending on how this reacts, right? Now, if we do get below the golden ratio within probably the next 3-4 hour candles, right? If we got down there pretty fast, the rule is that if you move up like this through the golden ratio and then you get back down below it fast, you will likely go to the 382 from the 886, right? If you dilly-dally up here, you spend some time up here and it's not fast, okay, you're probably going to break out to the upside. That's insanely bullish. Another insanely bullish thing is to move down to the golden ratio, find support, and then move up. You can wick below it as long as you're closing above it, though. That's fine. And I'm not talking about above it like it's at 107.3K. If you close at 107.2K, and in the next candle you went back up, that's okay. You have to break it. Don't just like cheat it. You have to break it. If you break it, the statistical probability that you go down to the 382 is very much there, but that doesn't mean that you're going lower. That might be the area that you find support. And I wonder too, actually, on that note, let's just see from a low to a high, does any fib line up with this 382 from the low to high here? Does this correspond with anything? That 382 is absurdly close to the golden ratio here. Bitcoin loves its 0.5. It loves to, and I say it loves it. That's not a good rule of thumb. This cycle, it has loved to find support and resistance at its 0.5. It has. And that 0.5 is also very near the 382. You don't have to go all the way to the 382. You could go between the 0.5 and the 382 from the 886. It's very possible. But something between about 106 to, I would even say, $104,000, in my opinion, is a probabilistic outcome right now. It'll be more probabilistic, it'll be certain if we get a 4-hour close below the golden ratio, below a 4-hour close below the golden ratio from the current all-time high to that low there. And I mean, if we just keep moving up, man, I gotta say, like, this is unprecedented. If we just keep moving up, I would love that. I would love it if any of the 3 outcomes I just gave you were wrong and not even happening, and we just kept moving up. I would love it. I'd love to see. We'd have to see more volume. I might be a little bit scared if we don't get more volume, but I would love to be wrong. If Bitcoin's moving up, everything's moving up, man. And I love it whenever I'm calling for something to go down. Oh, yeah, that was a mosquito. Dude, I told you guys, I don't know if you guys watched my video. I think it was my Cookie DAO or my XRP video yesterday. Oh, man, he's like twitching. Oh, yeah, I got you, buddy. Oh, he's still twitching. Dude, okay, hold on. Hey, I feel bad now. I don't, mosquitoes suck, literally, but I don't like to see anything suffer. All right, I'm going to, yeah. Now I got blood on my black shorts, so that's okay. Actually, there was no blood. I don't think he sucked me off, but he was sucking me dry. I think actually female mosquitoes are the ones that suck. Male mosquitoes, I think, eat nectar, if I remember correctly. Either that or I heard that from somebody who was messing with me. But anyways, enough of the antics. Where was I? where was I? I mean, if a move like this were to happen, it would just be very unprecedented. It's not that it can't happen. It's not that I've never seen that happen before. It does happen, but only in extremely bullish situations. And don't get me wrong, we're in that now. I'm just not completely convinced yet. We'll see. We'll see. I wonder what the sentiment is. Let's see here. Let's go. Fear and greed. Come on, internet. 64. Wow, we went from a 55 to a 64. That's not bad, guys. We're still pretty neutral though. But yeah, essentially, I think at this point, yes, I'm waving the white flag of bearish surrender, momentary bearish surrender. I've always been bullish up to 170 to 180K by the end of July, or at some point in July. That's been the expectation for well over a month now, right? End of June was considered, but early July was also part of that. Now it's moved to mid to late July, right? Because we took more time here than I thought we would. But I very much do believe this is the low. If you want to invalidate this as a low, you want to bring back the idea that we are going to go lower. These are the steps that you need to see, right? And also, before we get to that, this is a very important lesson too, and I said this earlier, as to why no matter how convinced you are of going lower, no matter how convinced, and I was very, very convinced, you guys, that we would go to 96 to 95K. No matter how convinced you are, you don't sell your bag. You don't. This is my third cycle. There are plenty of times where there's been convincing times in the market that it seems like Bitcoin or the rest of the market's going to go lower. You don't sell because you will be wrong. Nobody bats 1,000 in this game. Everybody's wrong at some point. How easy is it to point out when someone's wrong when they've got their face on YouTube talking every single day about it? I'm definitely going to be wrong. How easy is it to talk smack behind a faceless YouTube profile on the comments? It is, right? But I'm just saying, you're going to be wrong at times. That's why you don't sell in a bull market. That's why you don't sell in a bull market. And that's why you DCA in a bear market. And you just hold and you stack more also. I mean, really, you should just be stacking more always. But I digress. If you want to prove that this is not the low and that we are going lower, we would need to see an immediate reversal today with more volume than we saw on the way up. We need to see something that today literally closes, and maybe it doesn't have to close today, but we'd have to see some pretty significant, we'd at least have to close below 107.3 thousand. Is that right? 107.3, yeah, 107.4, I think. It's basically close below 107.39, just below 107.4K. If we close below there, I would think that we do stand a chance that the likelihood of going below this low increases. The likelihood that this is the low is still greater than the chance that we go below there, but it increases if we close today below this golden ratio. Okay, if you close any day below the 382 here, below 100, you can go below there. That's not what I'm saying. You can go below there, but if you close a day below 104.6K, then the probability that we go below this low goes up a lot. I would even say that but it all depends on how that happens. It would have to happen within the next day or two, right? We'd have to by tomorrow. Today's Tuesday. Tomorrow, Wednesday, we would have to close, if not today, below 104.6K. If we don't do that immediately, likely we're just finding turbulence. We're consolidating before our next move up. And who knows how long that's going to take. It could take 4 hours. It could take 2.5 days. I don't know how long it's going to take, but we will likely from here, I would think, at least pull back to the golden ratio. Let's see how we interact with that. 107.4K, we will at least pull back to there. That's my expectation. Because the least likely outcome right now is that we just keep pushing up. That doesn't mean it can't happen. That's why technical analysis isn't perfect. It's not about what will happen. It's about what could happen from a statistical probability. And right now, this could happen, but I would say it's like 20% or less chance, probably even like 15% or 10% or less of a chance that we do that. Because this kind of behavior, it can happen. You really don't do it, man. You don't move up like that. It's more Bitcoin, especially in this cycle, has been very, very structured. But as we get later in the cycle, things get more chaotic, things get more euphoric and more exciting. Anything can happen. But I would expect that we go down to 107.4K at least. We find support there, maybe even a little bit lower. Find support at prior resistance, and then we move up. If we close below there, we'll probably go down to the 382 at about 100. Did I say 104.7? I'm sorry, I meant 107.4. If I said 104.7, I meant 107.4K. If we break below 107.4K on a 4-hour time frame, we will go to 104.7. That's I had those numbers mixed up. Likely, you don't want to break below there. You can wick below there, but you don't want to break below there. And it's especially condemning if you break below the 236. Again, wicking below it's not a problem, but closing below it. Like if today was so volatile, guys, that we went all the way like this, right? We went all the way down here, but then by the end of the day we're closing right here, you're fine. You're just as bullish here as you would have been here. You know what I mean? You're not going down. You're not going to find a lower low. That would actually be a good look in my opinion, because that would just be a shakeout. And we've done that before with Bitcoin. So don't get discouraged is what I'm trying to say. Definitely do be encouraged. I think right now the statistical probability has shifted that is the low. I think it's obvious at this point, right? Had to get obvious though. And until we see otherwise, that's the position. So right now, the expectation is we're going to move up to about 130 to 100 and let's say 140 at the most, probably 130K. We'll probably stop at around 130 to 133K. And that might happen by the end of this week at this rate, man. If not by the end of this week, sometime next week. And we will continue to grow going into the end of the month. And likely this move won't stop. What do I mean by this move? I mean, if we're looking at this move isn't going to stop really at all. Like, I think that was our stopping point over the last 3 weeks here, and we're getting on with our bad sells. It's not going to stop until we're at least 160, 150, if not 170, 180K, something like that. That's my expectation personally. So we are going higher. Even when we were expecting to go lower, that was still always the expectation. It's just now it's going to happen a little bit faster than expected, which is great. Instead of the middle to end of July, I think we're back on track for beginning to middle of July for this 180K, 170K area, 160 at the least, right? I'll do this real quick before we end the video because it's been a while since we've done this. Why do I think 160K? Beyond just the fibs, right? You see me putting up this fib here and you're like, okay, cool. You've got your fancy little tool. It's really not that fancy, right? You got these lines, but who cares? Why should I care about these lines? Okay, that's a fair point, right? Let's go over why I think we should care about these lines. And I'm going to put a line actually right at 160K. And then I'm going to put one, let's put one as high as like 185K, okay? Because I think we'll probably go just above 180K, if not just below. So, something in that range there, okay? We're going to look at Bitcoin and analyze it throughout this whole cycle, okay? And by the way, if this week closes green, it's a new week, and we had a very bullish signal last week too. Don't get me wrong. This follow through is exactly what you needed to see to confirm that was the low, right? 5 days, 23 hours left in this week here. 109.7K now. If we close this week green, this is an absurdly bullish reversal. When you reject the overbought zone, you typically go down to the 50 if not lower, right? You reject the overbought zone, 50 if not lower, 50 if not lower. This is a rejection. You didn't actually go to the 50, and that's bullish, right? But then you didn't really reject it here, 50 if not lower, right? Rejected it here, 50 if not lower. Rejected it here, didn't go to the 50, but you got pretty damn close. It's not a perfect science, but if you do this, that's definitely against the grain. If we can close this week green and start pushing higher, you guys, we really are. We're going to move up. We're going to be at 130 to 140K, probably closer to 135K, like by the end of next week, if not by the end of this week. It's happening very fast, okay? But let's talk about why I think this is the area that we're going to go to inevitably. So Bitcoin, as it is in almost every single cycle, if you notice, right, this move, I'm not going to measure from the low to the high. I don't feel like that's a good representation of the move. This move here was primarily from like this low to this high, right? That was like your fake out high, and then you went lower. So that was a 48.5% move. This low here to this high, and then you went lower. That was a 58% move there. This is a move in the middle of this consolidation phase, so it's not like a move up. It's just more consolidation. I'm not going to measure every single move. I just want to measure. I'm not going to take from the low here. I'm going to take from where the move actually started, which was this low, up to this high. I'm not going to take the high here because the move clearly ended here. This was just a part of consolidation. That was a fake out. So if you notice, each time that I'm drawing these moves, which I feel like I'm drawing them very appropriately, I'm not going to take this low because the move didn't start there. I think it's more appropriate to say the move started here, and then we ended here or here, however you want to put it. I don't know. 89%, 106. I think that's fair. 106. It looks like it ended there. We started to consolidate there. If you notice each move, 48, 58, 68, 91, 106. Even if I don't do 106 and I put it here, 89%. I think we did continue to move up. I mean, the RSI kept going up until there, so I think that the move continued to go. That was our first peak, so I think that that's fair. We've gotten bigger as the cycle has continued. So my premise then, or my expectation based off of this premise, I suppose, would be that, because this is our premise, would be that we see something larger than a 106% move. Oh, what a coincidence. The very next area right above this 106% move happens to be the area that we outlined. It's almost as if Bitcoin is projected to see a bigger move than its last move, just as it did before, right? It's getting bigger every single time. And you're showing arguably some of the most bullish readings on your weekly RSI that you've seen throughout this whole time. I mean, look at that. That was a very nice bullish move. 91% in the course of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 weeks, right? Over 8 weeks, 91%. And you did the exact same thing that you're kind of doing here, except you came from higher places in the RSI. But I just made this little dip and then out like that. I guess you didn't reject the overbought zone, to be fair here. You kind of found support out on it. But just this similar look of this U right here. I really wouldn't be surprised if it went higher. If we go higher than 106%, high to low, where's the next fib area? Where's the next fib area? Now it makes sense why the 1886 to 200 area is likely there. And we probably don't stop at if we're not stopping here, we're probably going to stop here, right? And if we're not stopping there, where's the next fib area? The 2272. Little known fact about the 2272, you oftentimes, not always, it's a statistical probability, it's not a guarantee, you don't do this. You oftentimes actually go just above it to find resistance, which is why when you see 179K at the 2272, you expect something just above 180K. All right? I hope it all makes sense. Hope you guys enjoyed the videos. Have fun, trolls. You got me on this one. I was wrong. You got me. You got me so good, man. I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm going to go cry myself to sleep with all the money that we all made yesterday. I guess I got to cry because I was wrong and not be happy that my bags are growing. I guess that's how it is. I don't know what they expect, man. I had one guy literally say, "You never admit when you're wrong." And I'm like, I admit when I'm not going to admit when I'm wrong every single video. Like I'll admit it now cuz it's fresh, but I've already admitted it now. The next video I make, if I don't admit that I was wrong, screw me for forgetting to say it. I thought we moved past this, right? I'm making videos every day, and I don't know, anybody who's been following the channel for the last almost 3 years now, you guys know, I don't care. It's not a big deal. Sometimes I care. Like, so, you know, nobody's perfect. Sometimes I get emotional and stuff, but this is not one of those times. So control your own emotions. Be happy that the market's going up. I'm happy that the market's going up. I don't care. I would love, man, if I'm calling for the market to go down, but I'm fully allocated in the market and it goes up, I promise you I'm not upset. I'm definitely happy. But you guys are funny. You guys are really funny. Hit the like button, subscribe. Thank you all for being here. I'll see you on the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.